Hello and welcome to Startup Hack. Today we are going to talk about writing custom middlewares in ASP.NET Core. So let's jump right in. Make sure to check out the link down below because we always provide code samples that you can pull down and follow along so you can see in our project.
Do you want to earn $100,000 a year? Do you want to become a software developer within just 3 months? With our amazing course and awesome tutors, you never have to worry about getting stuck. We help students to learn skills that companies want to hire. We are Startup Hack. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. So let's get started.
Alright, one of the key features of ASP.NET Core is its middleware pipeline, which allows you to easily add custom behavior to the request process pipeline. Middleware components in ASP.NET Core are classes that implement the IMiddleware interface or use the use extension method or creating custom class and inject RequestDelegate. They are executed in order as the requests move through the pipeline, allowing you to add custom behavior at any point in the pipeline. In this video, we will explore how to create a custom middleware component in ASP.NET Core and some common use cases for middleware. Okay, now let's start with common use cases for middleware. Middleware components in ASP.NET Core can be used for a wide variety of tasks. Here are some common use cases for middleware. So number one is authentication and authorization. Middleware components can implement authentication and authorization to logic to ensure that requests are coming from authenticated and authorized users. Number two is request and response manipulation. Middleware components can modify the incoming request or the outgoing response to implement custom behavior. For example, middleware components can add or remove headers, modify the HTTP status code, or add data to the response body. Number third is exception handling. Middleware components can handle exceptions that occur during request processing. This can include logging in the exceptions and returning an appropriate response to the client. Number four is content compression. Middleware components can compress the response content to reduce the size of the response and improve performance. Number five is caching. Middleware components can cache response to improve performance and reduce load on the server. So here's an example of more middleware inside program.cs class. So here's example. Alright, let's move towards creating a custom middleware with app.use. The use method is an extension method for the application builder interface, which is used to configure the request pipeline for an ASP.NET Core application. The method takes a delegate that represents the middleware component to be executed in the pipeline. The getDelegate passed to the use method takes two parameters, the HTTP context object representing the current request and func task that represents the next middleware component in the pipeline. Alright, creating with dependency injection. By using DI to inject services into your middleware components, you can keep your middleware lean and focus while still accessing the functionality you need from the other parts of your application. To illustrate it, let's walk through an example of implementing custom middleware with DI in ASP.NET Core. First, let's create a new class for our middleware component. In this example, let's assume we want to add a header to each response that includes the current date and time. Our middleware component might look something like this. This component takes two dependencies, the RequestDelegate that represent the next middleware component in the pipeline and an iDateTime service that provides the current date time. Next, let's register our iDateTime service as a service in our program class. In this example, we are using add singleton to register our datetime service as singleton service. This means that only one instance of the datetime service will be created for the lifetime of the application. Finally, let's add our middleware component to the middleware pipeline. In this example, we are using use middleware extension method to add our datetime middleware component to the pipeline. Now, whenever a request is made to our application, the datetime middleware component will add an xDateTime header to the response using the current date and time from our iDateTime service. Okay, so creating with implementing IMiddleware interface. ASP.NET Core provides IMiddleware interface as a way to simplify the creation of custom middleware components. By implementing this interface, you can define a single method to handle both the request and response of the middleware instead of having separate invoke async and constructor methods. Let's look at how to implement a custom middleware component using the IMiddleware interface. First, let's create a new class for our middleware component that implements the IMiddleware interface. Important note, in this implementation, we don't inject RequestDelegate to the constructor. Instead, we pass it to invoke async method as a parameter. In this example, logging middleware takes a iLogger object as a constructor argument. In the invoke async method, it logs information about the incoming request using the iLogger object, then calls the next middleware component in the pipeline using the next parameter. After the next middleware component has completed, it logs information about the outgoing response. To use this middleware component in your ASP.NET Core application, you have to register it in program class. So here's example. In general, IMiddleware is a good choice for simple middleware components that do not have complex dependencies, while DI implementation is more suitable for middleware components that require more flexibility and control over their dependencies. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned the best practices for writing custom middlewares in ASP.NET Core. I hope you enjoy the video, so don't forget to subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon for latest updates. To joining our course, you can simply go to our website called startuphack.com. Thank you.